Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I can't tell you how proud I am to be mayor of the city today. I will be signing into law one of the largest community-led investments in the history of our city. You're going to hear from a couple of task force members here today, amazing people, but there's others that were joined here watching today. And each one of these individuals, I won't call you by name, but I want to thank you personally. I am so grateful, and our city is so fortunate for all that you've done. You know, nearly 10 months ago, I announced the launch of the Equitable Communities Initiative Task Force, just a powerhouse of Black, Indigenous, Latino, and Asian American community leaders with experience and expertise, willing to go to work to make a better and more healthy and stronger and more vibrant community. You know, leaders from long-standing Black organizations like the Seattle King County NAACP, the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, and United Black Clergy. And they were joined with leaders from other just amazing organizations in our city, like El Centro de la Raza and the Refugee Women's Alliance and the Seattle Indian Health Board. All of these and the others with deep ties in the community, knowing what community needs and how to build. In taking the historic step forward and designing a new process for community investment and in turning and shaping what communities look like. The process that they determined, for the first time, the city allowed community the full autonomy to determine how to go about the business, how to do the work. We sat there side by side as an asset for the task force, helping them get the information they needed, knowing what the city was already doing, what was possible. But all of this power generated from community itself. And this kind of power sharing, I think, is the best of Seattle. As I said, I think it's one of the most unprecedented and in some ways very audacious ventures. But as you'll hear from the two task force members, they were up to it. It was hard. It was hard coming into it. It was hard work. Each of them had day jobs. But I think that the product of their work is something that we can build upon to make sure that Seattle is a place of opportunity for the next generation. And today I have the honor of signing into law their recommendations. This legislation will have an immediate impact. This week, the Office of Sustainability and Environment announced a $750,000 grant opportunity through the Environmental Justice Fund. Of that, $500,000 is made possible because of the work of the Equitable Communities Initiative Investment. Awardees will be granted anywhere between $25,000 and $75,000 for community-defined solutions to improve environmental and community conditions. Director ANDRÉS Mattia, he and the other directors and people throughout government, I'm so proud of the work they did to support the task force in their work. He'll also share with you what's coming next in the coming months as the RFPs get stood up. But make no mistake about it, the funding for many of these strategies will be announced by the year's end. We want to get this money into community doing the good work as quickly as we can. I owe each of these community members a large debt of gratitude, but so does the city, because coming out of the very painful time after the murder of George Floyd, these community members and leaders went to work to figure out long-term systemic solutions. And they did it by listening to community, by relying on their lived experience, and by doing what they do best, which is harnessing that power and that voice. They came together during a very challenging time, creating a community themselves, and they did it because they believe in that better future. And so they represent the best of their city, and I am just deeply, deeply grateful for their work. I also want to recognize the task force is incredibly intentional about their work. Starting from the beginning, the Profitable Nonprofit, a Black-owned, woman-owned business to help facilitate the recommendations, and the Anchor Group, a Black-owned communications team to help them deliver their message. Pamela Oakes and team, thank you so much for the work you did. You kept the group going. You were a great facilitator, but also committed yourself. So thank you for everything you did. And Larry Williams of the Anchor Group, your commitment and your expertise in communications was really took us to the next step. I want to again thank Director Mantilla, Christina Gahn, Deputy Mayor Tiffany Washington, all of the department directors and staff who invested countless hours to really help make this task force recommendations a reality. I want to give special thanks to Kamaria Hightower, who helped guide some of our communications on our side, but also as a born and raised in Seattle and proud Franklin grad, it mattered deeply to her as well. So now I also want to hand it off to a person who I have just the deepest regard for, and who from the beginning and through her career has shown that if you empower community, you can get durable solutions. And with that, I give you Councilmember Deborah Juarez.
Thank you, Mayor. There's the problem with always going after Durkan is that she says everything. So I'm going to repeat a few things because I have I have a prepared statement because I want to make sure I got out the right thank yous and the right sentiment. Again, Mayor Durkan, thank you. I remember you and I talking last September about me being ex officio and what does this mean and what does it look like? How do we fund it? I remember going back to my notes and also my budget notes. And also when you were on Converge, when you were on Omari's show and he had interviewed you, and I was going back through my notes and looking at that. So today, I am so proud to say congratulations, not only to you, Mayor, and your leadership, but to the ECI task force members. I am thrilled to be here because I know the hard work that you guys have done all of these months through the pandemic, through everything to get it done. Um, I just want to say that the successful work of the ECI only reinforced my belief in the human capital, spirit, and wisdom already present in the BIPOC community. We don't need to tell BIPOC communities what they need. We don't need to tell Black leaders what they need. They know what they need. We just need to listen, get out of the way, and deliver. This was not about pitting any community against anyone or one another. As the city has proven, we can and have, in many instances, invested in community-based upstream programs, and that's what we will continue to do. No community is a monolith, and there exists an infinite number of ways to address the disparities and inequities in our city. I'm so proud of this group's willingness to lean into collaboration and to stay above the fray, focused as always on the end goals, justice, progress, and equity. I want to say again, thank you to some of the same people because I've watched from afar and can only admire the work that they did. Thank you, Pamela Oakes from the Profitable Nonprofit. Another note of gratitude to the Anchor Group for getting the word out about the task force and meeting with us as well. Thank you to Deputy Mayor Washington and of course, Director Mattia. For steering the city side of the process, but also keeping City Council and myself informed of every step along the way and what was going on. And most importantly, thank you to the task force members who believed in the mission, including Sharon Williams, who's become a close friend of this office, who had no problem picking up the phone when something was going south. She had no problem. You all have left a phenomenal mark on the city. And I just want to end on this note that the mayor shared. And this is something her and I talked about, and we talked about with some of our colleagues. We are the cutting edge of a city. That said, we're going to put aside millions of dollars. We're going to invest in upstream programs. We're going to be true to our word. But more importantly, we are going to believe in the people because they know, I know, they know, the mayor knew that they had the wisdom, the leadership, the lived experience to get it done. And you got it done. Congratulations. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Juarez. My name is NYREE Williams, and I am the Executive Director for the Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas. I'm a presenter, producer of performing arts, and a storyteller. And I can't stop smiling, but at the same time, I want to cry. I feel so emotional right now because I can't believe we are here. And I can believe it because we had a task force that is mighty and strong. All 26 stood their ground for community, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna say a special thank you to the mayor for believing in a little Black girl like me who's only been in Seattle for 21 years, but this is where I've grown up. To have me as an artist at this table and to believe that I could do something as important as this means the world. and I'll be forever grateful for that. Councilmember Juarez, for picking up the phone and for allowing me to vent and for telling me like it is and for having our backs the entire time. I do appreciate you. Andrés, y'all just don't know what Andrés went through for us. And I don't know if Andrés will even know how to sleep anymore after this work. But thank you for all the sacrifices, and thank your family for us, because your sacrifice and you giving us your time and your energy does not go unnoticed. And Kamari, I love you. We made each other better, and I really do appreciate that. And Pamela and Larry, and there's so many people to thank. Those that started the journey with us, but for some reason stepped away. You're part of this. This is your day as well. And this is the city of Seattle's day. And I know I only have a few minutes, so I'll say this. The thing that I learned in this process is that, yes, if you bring community together, Black and Brown community, and allow them to share their stories and to get to know each other and have conversation, you will learn that your needs are almost exactly the same. We might not get at it the same way, but we want and need the same thing in honor of community. And so I say, if you get a chance to be a part of something like this, or to be at the table when you don't think you're supposed to be at the table, they asked you to be at the table for a reason, and take that opportunity and let your voice be heard. Come as your true self. Don't sugarcoat it for anyone. Hold their feet to the fire, and I swear, if you're doing it because you are looking to do something good, it will all work out. Many of us are leaders, and there are good leaders and there are bad leaders and there are in-between leaders and all of that. But what the mayor's office and the mayor, city council, this task force, the staff and the directors of the city of Seattle has done is showed that we can all come together and support one another if we all do it with the lens of helping community and leave our egos at the door. And so I'm ready for the next steps to begin. I will be there for as long as I can to help. I appreciate the opportunity for the city of Seattle. Yo, nothing but up from here. And it's not going to be a perfect ride, because we are not perfect people, but we will pivot when we need to pivot. And we will do, I know everyone will do their best to do the best that we can for the brown and Black folks of Seattle and for Seattle as a whole. And I pass it to my task force partner in crime, the chef that I love, the friend that I admire, the Queen, Donna Moodie.
Thank you, Sharon, for that wonderful introduction. And also thank you for having been a task member alongside me. It's been an inspiration to work with the entire group that we work with, and I'm so deeply appreciative and honored to have been able to work on the task force. I learned a lot, and I felt like we created a great offering for the city. I personally was really appreciative of the work that the small business pillar of the Equitable Communities Initiative Task Force was able to do, because I think that we were able to confront the lack of access to funding that communities of color have experienced for generations. I can speak to that personally as someone who's experienced that over multiple decades in the city of Seattle, and also on a national level. I think it's an obstacle that we often have to hurdle if we want to stay in business. We were really focused on being able to provide access to funding in the form of forgivable loans. We wanted to offer grants, and we also wanted the loans to be really low interest when they had to be paid back. We wanted to use a portion of the funding to provide technical assistance. And I think oftentimes we offer technical assistance, but we don't offer it through colleagues that look like us. And so there's a period of time in the process that we spend basically explaining what experiences we've had that hold us back. And it just is kind of a waste of stress and trauma to go through that experience time and time again. So we wanted to have people that look like us, who are allies to the movements that we are all a part of. We wanted the applicants to feel like they were being treated with dignity and respect. While technical assistance is typically associated with technology and also with marketing and just things of that nature, we wanted to actually have it address getting people to apply, getting the word out to those people, inviting them to the table from before the process started. We wanted them to feel like we were investing in creating jobs, creating generational wealth and ownership. And also that would maintain the fabric of our communities as they exist. It's important that our communities are woven together by a fabric that represents all the members of our city and who are often overlooked, and that we continue to have unique, interesting, thriving, lively small businesses in our city, especially as we experience displacement and gentrification. We want to keep Seattle vibrant and alive and interesting, and make people want to not just come here to work and live, but to support small businesses and to thrive. And that's all I have to say, but I was so honored to have the opportunity to work with all the city departments and the folks from the mayor's administration, council members who were supportive. It was just a really great example of what we can do when we work together and how much we can succeed. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. And my point here is to talk about next steps. And let me just start by saying thank you again to the 26 wonderful task force members for leading with your values, keeping us honest, meeting us in partnerships, keeping us accountable. For the city team as well, who really came with an open mind in terms of how to do this work. For my colleagues and the mayor and Councilmember Juarez, for your support. One of the values that we started, the task force really led with, was a sense of urgency. And so with that sense of urgency, as we move into next steps, or phase 2, as we talked about it, is getting this money out the door as soon as we can. And as the mayor announced, the Office of Sustainability and the Environment already has an RFP on the ground, of which for $750,000 total, of which $500 is from this investment. That is on the streets right now and is due September 13th. So make a note on your calendar if you're interested in that. Very quickly after that, in October and November, you'll see many of these RFPs and grants opportunities hit the street. We're going to do our due diligence to continue to work with community members where we need to do more in terms of the RFP development. But the business and grants and technical assistance that Donna was just talking about, that one should be on the street in October, November. Additional health investments and workforce investments should likewise be on the street in November, and with the majority of the money going out in Q4. There are new and innovative programs that came out of this, whether it be the lease to own program that SHARON and the housing group worked on, whether it be the generational wealth pipeline of projects to really center how we talk about community wealth and how we talk about wealth generation in the city amongst BIPOC communities. Those are all new programs. They're going to take a little bit longer to do the work. And so we feel an urgency to get going in 2021. We have the mayor's support in doing that. What we will be doing is putting out a very transparent accounting of where all of this money is, when community can expect RFPs to be released, and when the grant dollars will be awarded. So we're really excited. I know the city staff is, and I will stop there and turn it back over to Mayor Durkan.
Thanks so much, Andres. And I'm going to make this official law by signing it. Before I do it, I said I wasn't going to call the names, but I just think that the people who are attending today who spent so many hours, I do really want to quickly run through those names because every single person deserves such recognition. So Pastor Carrie Anderson of First AME Church, one of the oldest churches in Seattle, almost as old as the state itself. You've been amazing inspiration to me. Sean Bagsby of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, thank you for your work. Maggie Angel Cano of the Duwamish River Cleanup. You guys epitomize environmental justice. Andre Copain, I don't know, you must be cloned because you're doing so much in so many places. Bird Bar doesn't even capture it all. Lanisha Bartabellin of the Northwest African American Museum, thank you for everything you're doing in our community and your work on this. Trish DeZico of the Technology Access Foundation, she has the secret sauce to get our Black and brown kids into math and sciences. Her programs are phenomenal. And if you haven't been to the WOW Gallery at Pacific Place, you should go, The Wonder of Women, because there's a painting of Trish there that's been on there. Manaz of the Refugee Women's Alliance, thank you for your friendship, your work. Ollie Garrett, your energy is amazing. Chris Lampkin, your day job would be enough, but you keep going in community too. Thank you so much for your work. Dr. Sheila Edwards-Lang, we all read with inspiration and both excitement and sadness that Seattle's losing you to Tacoma, but congratulations on that, on everything you've done on this task force and for our community. Paulina Lopez, we keep leaning on you and you keep standing tall. What you've done for your community and the city is truly inspiring, so thank you so much. Esther Lucero, there's like 10 of you because your energy and commitment to the Seattle Indian Health Board and to making a strong, strong community here is really inspiring to me. So thank you for your work. Michelle Merriweather, you have so many great things going at the Urban League. Thank you for all you're doing and for taking the time to be committed to this. It's amazing. Donna Moodie, I mean, you just wowed us all, but you always have. You just dig in and get the work done. Thank you. And you have an amazing restaurant. Estela Ortega, who has been a pioneer in this city about community building, community involvement. Thank you for your work. Carolyn Riley Payne, you and the NAACP have been such a fixture. We're really sorry for your personal loss, but your willingness to step up and do this work with us was so important. Rizwan at the Muslim Housing Services, the housing you've been building is so inspiring and your work here is going to live on. Victoria Santos, the Young Women Empowered, you're doing great work. Thank you for this so much. And Stephen Sawyer from POCAN, an organization that was pulled together in times of grief, has really turned that an organization of hope and optimism. And so thank you so much for your work. Michael Tooley at the United Indians of All Tribes. I miss Bernie, but you have carried on that tradition in such a great way. And I hope that this task force work lives on in a way to do that longer. Ray Williams, Black Farmers Collective, knowing that the earth itself can be something that gives back to community is really so inspiring, and getting people in touch with that, food sources and the like, is great. Sharon, I mean, you just all saw her. Wow, your voice is so important. Your work, your energy, your commitment to community is inspiring to me. Pastor Lawrence Willis, I mean, who can't love that man and all he does? I've never seen him have a bad day. I'm sure you have, but every time I'm around him, I have a better day, and all of Seattle's better because of your work. Christina Wong, Northwest Harvest, such an important part of our city, and your work and your willingness to dig in and make sure we're a better place. Thank you for that. Beto and Ventures, you always find a way to find a positive thing to lift people up. And thank you for your work on this task force. So if I miss someone, I'll write you a personal note. I apologize. But I wanted everybody who spent so much time and stepped in such hard times to be acknowledged for what you've done. I wanted to say your names and thank you for it. And now we will get to the fun part. We will actually make this law and start getting this money into the community. So as mayor of the city of Seattle, I am very proud and honored to sign this law, and I want to thank the city council for passing it unanimously, showing we can unite as a city around things that matter and a very better future for all of us. Your work is now the law of the land. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone, for your remarks today. We have a few members of the press corps on the line, and I think we have time for maybe one or two questions. So if there are any questions, please go ahead and use the raised hand feature in WebEx, and we will call on you as time permits. Not seeing any hands, I think we'll go ahead and call it there. Thank you again, Mayor. If you have any closing words, I'd like to hand it back to you.
Thank you. I think that the no questions says it all in many ways. I just have to again thank the task force members, but your collective work and energies. We've got a lot of work to do. This is just the beginning. And though I am no longer going to be mayor, I will work steadfastly to keep and continuing this kind of work. As I said before, coming out of the murder of George Floyd, that we have to admit as a city, as a state, as a country, the role that institutional racism has played in our country. And we have to be just as intentional about building opportunity. And so I'm very excited about this. We have to remember that to make generational change, we have to make sustained investments. So I'm really hoping that this level of investment can continue on. It will be included in my budget for next year. And that we continue to know that this kind of work takes years and deep work across the board. But we've seen that it can work. And so I want to thank again the task force for their willingness to roll up their sleeves, for their willingness to say yes to me, for doing this hard work. But mostly thank you for your lives and for your work in showing that we can be a better city and a better community when we come together and look at that future that binds us all together. So thank you very much, everybody. Congratulations for your work. And I'm just assuming everybody's re-upping for next year.